Welcome to the Worst of the Riot podcast. Coming up, which restaurant offers the best free food?
Also, taking the check etiquette and more on the Worst of the Riot podcast.
You won't hear a show like this anywhere else. And that's probably for the best. The Worst of the Riot, Radio U.
So I'm asking for advice on this one.
Okay.
I'm a little bit confused.
Oh, I love giving advice.
As to many different ways that people go about doing this, and what I'm about to talk about is kind of like an alpha thing,
Okay.
I think. And many times this happens to you in your day-to-day life, and it's always an awkward situation. And the situation I'm talking about is the correct way to take the check at a restaurant. When do you do it? When do you not do it? How do you apologize if somebody else does it and you didn't step up to do it? The whole scenario is an awkward thing.
Apologize?
Yeah, like when somebody
Explain
says like...
that one to me.
So listen to this. When somebody says like, I'm going to take the check, right?
Mhm.
Like, oh, I got it. And then you take it. Then if you're the other person, like if you and I went out to lunch,
Yeah.
right? And I said, I'm going to take the check. And then if you're the other person, like you have to put up like a little bit of a fight, you know?
Yeah.
And so you have to be like, oh no, like I can take
Yeah,
it.
right.
But then you have to,
I
like,
got this.
you got to discern that line, like, because obviously if you take the check, there's no like giving it back. Like no matter how much you fight, there's no scenario where anyone's ever been like, oh, I mean, if you really want, I guess we can split it if you really want to. And so the other person, how quickly do you back down? Like, do you go in there and you're like, oh, I can take, and then don't worry, we can split it.
Yeah.
And then when they say, no, you're like, oh, okay, well, thank you. Like, you have to put up a little bit of a show, you
Yeah.
know, even though you weren't planning on actually taking it back once they said they were going to pay for it.
Does anybody else do this? It's never happened in the history of time that, somebody says, I'll take the check, and then you go, no, I can do it. And then
They go, all right.
Yeah, then go ahead. But do you not sweat a little bit every time you do?
Yeah.
You offer? It's like, come on, no, that's okay. I got it. I get nervous every time. Like, one time it is going to happen.
Where they're going to say,
like,
go ahead.
Yeah. Actually, in that case, I wasn't expecting you to offer, but since you did, maybe you can take this one.
Yeah, that's like the one big thing too is like how do you take the check? And that's what I think about too. If you're going out to lunch with people, and obviously it depends like who you're with. If you're sitting down at a restaurant, there's a couple different ways you can do it, which is like when the waiter or waitress comes, like maybe you give the finger. And not the finger you're thinking about, but you give like the one finger, the point finger, like, oh, I got it. You don't have to say anything if you do that. Just like put it here. Or you can say, I can take the check. But the ultimate alpha move is when you walk in, you go up to the waitress and say,
oh, yeah,
that table doesn't get a check. That's like a dad move.
Yeah.
That's what a father would do.
You just say, or up front, this is all on one check. Right
Yep,
here.
all on one check. And
all on one.
It's coming to me. Nobody else gets to touch it.
Yeah. I hope I can afford to do that one day.
Yeah, but it's just the constant, like, and then the other thing that I question as well is if you're going out to lunch, and this has happened to me, or dinner with like one of your friends' family, or maybe your girlfriend's family, and they say that they're going to pay for it. Yet again, I always have that like weird thing, like, what do I say when they say they're taking the check? Do I have to be like, oh no, I can take, like, I can pay for myself?
It is
or do
kind
you
of
just
when there's
like
a
let them go?
generational, like that kind of gap.
Like if I go out with my girlfriend's family,
They don't really expect you to pay for everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
Even for yourself.
Like I'm a man, I'm an adult.
Yeah.
But like if you go out with your wife's like dad, and he says he's gonna pay for you, do you argue with him? Do you say like, no, I can pay?
And make my voice deeper like that.
Yeah, I can pay.
No, I totally got it. No, it depends on it totally depends is the tough thing. There is no one size fits all advice here, because if let's say it's your girlfriend's family, after you've gone out with them a few times and the precedent has been set with my wife's dad, the precedent has been set. There will never once be a time. It would be very unusual to me. Like we don't have to go through the fake, oh no, I got it anymore.
Nice.
Which, yeah, it's a great situation actually for me to be in. But if it's like a work lunch or something, then you got to put up a little bit of a fight.
Oh, like the weird.
I don't know, but I don't know how many times in a row you have to go out with somebody and they get the check before you don't have to offer anymore.
Can you ever see yourself folding? Like you say, I'm going to get the check, and somebody across the table is like, no. I will be taking the
yeah.
check. Like, would you ever fold? Like, I can imagine I'm a people pleaser.
Yeah.
If somebody really wants it, I'd be like, you know what? If you want it,
Yeah.
you take it. But I think the rule is you're not supposed to fold no matter what if you say.
Well, what do you guys do then when it's two people and neither one wants to give in?
Oh, when they keep going?
Yeah.
I don't know how that ends because I
You
have
just
never.
split it at that point?
I don't know what you do. Because I would never be the guy that would say, no, I'm taking it no matter what.
Yeah.
Like, if you
no,
want to pay
I
for me,
wouldn't
pay for me.
either. I just would like to save money. So if somebody gives me an option to not have to spend it, I'll just be like, okay, you take it. But I don't know. I feel like you need, if it's two strong-headed people, you need like a mediator at some point. You just leave it up to the waiter or waitress.
Well, if you guys want to text in 8772, taking the check, how does it work? The etiquette for that. Help us out.
Nobody does it better. The Riot Radio U.
Advice, particularly for you, Isaiah, about what to do when you need to take the check and the other person insists on paying. And there is a bit of a consensus. We heard from Andy, Dustin, and Jim, who all had different variations of how they just basically say you got to, if the other person insists on paying and you wanted to pay, you know what you do? You say, okay, but I got the tip. Andy says, he actually said that works every time. You leave a generous tip.
I like that idea because then it's an immediate answer. They say, I'll take the check. They say, well, if you're doing the check, then I'll take the tip.
Yeah.
Boom, bang, bang. They won't, and the other person won't turn that down either.
No, yeah. Why would they turn it down? It saves them a few bucks, but it actually, because you do a generous tip, you basically tip, it sounds like, this is what my mind went to, and then Andy confirmed it, is that you leave a generous tip like equal to the meal, or close anyways, and then not only are you happy, the person you're with, they got to pay, they're happy, and the waiter or waitress happy as well because they got a nice, sizable tip, probably more than they were expecting.
Everybody's happy.
Yeah. You could also do what my mom texted in, and I've experienced this. I've done this before. She says if the other person insists on paying, you can say, okay, but next time it's on me. And she also said, and then you choose the restaurant so that you can pick a place you can afford.
I like that idea
Yeah,
too. You know what? Next time it's on me.
Yeah.
How about let's play it now? Wednesday. Wendy's.
Yeah, that's right. 4 for $4 is on me.
Whatever you want from Graders. Let's get some ice cream, brother.
Now, there is one thing that gives me pause when it comes to the tip idea, though, and this is what it is. What if you don't have cash? Are you making the waiter or waitress like run multiple cards just so they can get a tip? You can't do that. That's crazy.
Well, if you're a man's man, you'll just have cash.
Yeah, of course.
If nothing else, you've got enough change in that pocket that you carry, the spare change you carry.
That's right. I do know your dad. He'd be able to tip in coins every
He's
time.
good. He has enough quarters in that pocket of his.
Yeah.
He's got $20 of quarters in there.
Then I'm not quite sure the waiter or waitress will be so pleased, but...
Don't worry, I've got it. And you pull out your wallet and you've got like 3 $1 bills. You're like, maybe next time. I'll just pay next time.
But maybe the hope is that between the two of you, especially if it's two men, one of you has cash. And so even if you say, oh, I've got the tip, or maybe knowing you don't have cash, but they insist on paying, say, how about I'll pay and you get the tip?
There
and
you
hoping
go.
they have cash. And then even if they don't, it's their problem.
And then the worst is like you don't have cash.
Yeah.
And you're trying to do the switcheroo and they're like, you know what? I'll just do it all.
Yeah.
You know, how about you can just give me next time or something.
That is the one danger with offering to cover the tip, I feel.
Yeah, as if you don't have the cash on you. But I'm sure you'll have the cash. That's why you carry the cash.
But now, at least between those two, we've got two options now, at least.
What about if you offer, does this feel any different? If you offer to pay, if you're like, no, I'll get it. And then when it comes, you pull out the gift card. You got the gift card on you. If you have the gift card, you have to pay, right?
Yeah, that feels a little rude to not. And why are you even there?
Yeah, exactly. Like if you came with a gift card, like you said, you know what, we should go to this place.
Yeah.
And then you whip out the gift cards, they're like, hey, you got the gift cards on you. Or if somebody is like, if the check gets laid down and they're looking at you like, who's going to take it?
Yeah.
They're like, are you going to take it? Maybe they're expecting you to pay and you're not ready for that.
A standoff.
A good old the old duel.
I feel
How
like
long
that's
do you
more common
wait?
with me than somebody else offering to pay.
Oh, it's someone being like, hey.
Neither of us wants to pull the trigger there. Sounds like my wife.
You're ridiculous.
This is Radio U's Worst of the Riot.
Since it's Thursday, it's time for our Thursday tradition. We're doing Choice Champions. Isaiah and I make the picks. You choose the champion. We're going to do snake draft style picking on today's topic, which is the best free food from restaurants. We're talking like the stuff they give you just for coming in and sitting down. They will give you this stuff for free. 3 picks each. Then you get to decide which of us came up with a better team and which free restaurant food we missed. So get ready at 877-2-RADIO-U. I have the privilege of having the first pick this week, and that is a huge advantage in this case because there is a clear, far and away, number 1 seed in this Choice Champions draft, and that is my first pick, the Red Lobster Cheddar Bay Biscuits.
Wow, you're going Red Lobster.
There's no chance I would ever choose anything else.
Interesting choice. I am thrown. I didn't think you were going to do that.
I can't believe you wouldn't expect that.
I am thrown. Okay. I am at 2 and 3. So you're taking Red Lobster's Cheddar Bay Biscuits.
Yeah.
Which were on my list.
Uh-huh.
But at the number 2 spot, I'm taking any mom and pop Mexican restaurant in America. You're getting chips and salsa for free every time.
I considered chips and salsa, but there's so many breads that are better than that. So I had it on my list, but I wasn't going to pick it.
And then I followed that up with TR, baby. There's no chance I'm not taking TR at 3.
I was hoping you'd skip TR. Texas Roadhouse.
I thought that's who you were taking at 1. I'm taking their rolls at number 1. You get that cinnamon butter with it. I'm taking Texas Roadhouse.
Yeah, I consider that was going to be my clear number 2 choice. So now I have a question, a question that I have to ask myself, and that is, do I want to go with the next best version of the Texas Roadhouse rolls and try to equal that out, or do I want to choose something completely different so I have variety on my list? And what my strategy is going to be, as I filibuster here to buy a little bit of time, is I am going to choose O'Charlie's because their rolls are very similar to Texas Roadhouse, and so I'm going to try to cancel out your Texas Roadhouse pick. O'Charlie's not as good, I'll admit it, but I think if you're building out a list, I think now, comparing the 2 teams, I think I'm going to do okay. And finally, my last choice, and this is for the people. This is not my personal choice, but I'm going to take the Olive Garden breadsticks.
That's a good choice.
They are good.
They're very good. Okay, now you're back on track with me now.
Yeah.
O'Charlie's threw me for a loop. I like O'Charlie's. I knew they had good bread rolls.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great choice. So my final one is I'm also going for a little bit of diversity here.
Okay.
I'm going any breakfast restaurant that gives you free coffee when you sit down. You get that free coffee because if I had to pay for coffee, I'm not taking it.
Uh-huh.
But if they give me the free coffee, I'm taking that.
Can you name one restaurant that gives free coffee?
Scramblers. I go almost every Saturday. Are you joking? There's many a local breakfast places that give free coffee every time. Complimentary.
I couldn't think of one, but I'll take your word for it.
You must not get breakfast very often at mom and pop places.
Sure. So I've got Red Lobster biscuits, O'Charlie's rolls, and you got to have that butter on there. And then I'm also going with Olive Garden breadsticks as my 3. Your choices are?
Chips and salsa at any Mexican restaurant that you sit down at. Also, those TR bread rolls, that cinnamon butter.
Uh-huh.
And then sitting down at a nice mom and pop breakfast shop, getting that free coffee.
877-2-RADIO-U. Who came up with a better team? And what did we miss?
Oh, hi there.
Worst of the Riot.
Crank that up.
Radio U.
In the midst of a Choice Champions, where Isaiah and I were choosing the best free restaurant food, the stuff that restaurants will give you just basically for sitting down at the restaurant. It comes with your order. So I had the first pick. I went with Red Lobster's Cheddar Bay Biscuits. and then followed it up with Charlie's rolls in response to Isaiah's Texas Roadhouse rolls. And I also went with Olive Garden's breadsticks. Isaiah, your team is?
I went with chips and salsa from your favorite Mexican restaurant. Follow that up with Texas Roadhouse. That's cinnamon butter, them rolls.
Mm-hmm.
Wrapped it up with a free coffee from any of your favorite breakfast sit-down places.
Yes, and the votes are rolling in. First of all, Mark chimed in with a good thought. He says, we missed the bread and oil with herbs at Carrabba's. I thought of that too. I think that I actually prefer getting the bread that you can dip in oil. Carrabba's does it at a place called Romano's. Many Italian restaurants do that. I think I prefer that to the Olive Garden breadsticks, actually. So I think that's a good thought.
That's a good pick.
That's a good thought from Mark. Chad says that he's voting for you because of the Texas Roadhouse rolls and salsa. Thank you, Chad, for your vote. Sarah also says you named all of her favorite things, so she's going with you. However, then we have Emily chimed in, choosing for me because of the Cheddar Bay biscuits that I chose. The clear number 1 seed. And another vote from Thomas, who says, I like this too. He says he prefers Olive Garden's salad over the breadsticks, and he prefers Fazoli's breadsticks over Olive Garden. And he's voting for you because of the Texas Roadhouse rolls. Fazoli's, this could be an unpopular opinion, although clearly Thomas agrees with it. I think they do have better breadsticks than Olive Garden.
They've got good breadsticks.
I chose Olive Garden breadsticks. People love the breadsticks. I just wanted to go with a place that everybody knew, and who doesn't like the breadsticks? But yeah, if I'm talking personally, I think I'd choose Fazoli's breadsticks over Olive Garden.
So what didn't quite make the cut for you?
There was a lot of options that either I haven't had in such a long time I don't feel comfortable choosing, or just weren't quite close enough. Like a lot of people like Outback Steakhouse's brown bread that they bring out. You like that?
I haven't been to Outback Steakhouse in so long.
Likewise.
I don't even remember that.
Likewise. Also, this I did consider. It's the one thing that I like about Cheesecake Factory, and that is their free bread that they bring out.
I considered the Cheesecake Factory bread, but I didn't know how many bonus points that was going to give me after I'd already picked TR's bread.
Yeah. I also thought about Five Guys with their peanuts.
Yeah.
I also don't know, does this even count? Red Robin with their fries, the bottomless fries. Does
You
that
had to
count?
pay for those.
They come with any order.
But fries come with every order. That doesn't count.
I
That's
think
like
it
if I order a
counts.
cheeseburger
Because
and fries come with them.
They're endless, though.
But that doesn't matter. That just means they just come with the meal.
I think they bring them out before you order anything.
Yeah, but I don't know if that counts.
I thought there was a gray area.
Yeah, that is a gray area.
Also, does this count? Fortune cookies.
That counts.
Although I can't imagine picking those.
I can't either.
Here's what I thought, though, and this is crazy to me. Like, you picked chips and salsa so early that if you put out a spread in front of me of all these different various breads and peanuts from Five Guys and coffee and chips and salsa, I like chips and salsa. I always eat it when it's in front of me, but I can't imagine picking that over so many of these different breads.
See, I think for me, my number one pick would have been chips and salsa.
Over the biscuits. You took it over Texas Roadhouse.
Yeah, I mean, strategically, it makes way more sense to take it at. Well, I thought you were going to take it at 1.
Chips and salsa.
Because there's so many options for bread.
Yeah, but they're all better than salsa.
But I think that's so. I don't know if that's true. I love chips and salsa whenever I go to a Mexican restaurant.
Well, here's what's crazy.
But the bread's good. But I think that your list is so bread heavy. That's why that made it.
I didn't have a lot
little
of
more
variety.
versatility. If people don't mess with bread. And it kind of feels a little bit repetitive
if they're
that
keto
way.
right now.
Yeah.
But I just feel like I could bring out the 10th best free bread and the best chips and salsa, and I feel like you'd take the chips.
No chance. What? Your hate for chips and salsa right now is crazy.
I don't hate it.
Well,
it's just not as good as bread. It's not as exciting. It's not as fun.
I'm taking chips and salsa.
Well,
for over the majority of even some of the breads that you named, I would have taken chips over Cheesecake Factory bread. I'm 100% taking chips and salsa every single time.
Olive Garden, Fazoli's, Red Lobster, Texas Roadhouse, Charlie's, all the bread is better.
Even though Olive Garden's breadsticks, I'll be the one to say it. They're hard as a rock.
The votes have been tabulated, and I've won once again. As the
You're
host.
voting. You're counting these up awful odd, per usual.
Radio U's Worst of the Riot podcast.
It's unbelievable that possibly the best college coach of all time and the best NFL coach of all time could retire or at least end their jobs and their tenure within 24 hours of each other. Nick Saban yesterday retired as Alabama head coach. And then today we get the breaking news that the Patriots and Bill Belichick are parting ways after 24 seasons together. And it's unclear, at least at this time, whether Bill Belichick is this going to be the end for him? Is he going to retire? Will he go into some kind of front office role somewhere, or will he jump back into coaching? And would anybody, Isaiah, you don't think he'd be an improvement for a lot of teams?
I mean, he'd definitely be an improvement for a lot of teams. But do I think that he'll come back? I don't know if he'll come back, and if he does come back, I just don't know what the fit is. He's such an odd fit for so many franchises because the way that he comes in, he's not a charming personality whatsoever. No. He's not, and he's an exciting hire in the way that his name is Bill Belichick, but the system in which he runs and how he runs franchises, like the Patriots, if his name was anything else, he would not be an exciting hire. Yeah, because of his style. I mean, it's just hard-nosed, old-fashioned football. He's a defensive guy. If you look at the NFL in the past 7 years, that's not the usual exciting hire. Usually that's the safe hire, the defensive guy.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think he could go and coach and make franchises better. Do I think he still has the juice to take somebody to a Super Bowl, to an AFC or NFC championship? I don't know if he has that kind of juice left.
I feel like you and I, as far as sports go, one of the top things we have a differing opinion on is Bill Belichick, because I just think he hasn't had good quarterbacks the past few years, and maybe that obviously some of that blame falls on him because he's in charge of a lot of the personnel at the Patriots. But that said, I think if he decides to come back, he may not necessarily win a Super Bowl, but just because even for the greatest at any position at any time, winning a Super Bowl in a short amount of time is not a given. But I think he could compete at a high level if he winds up in Atlanta or Washington or whatever and gets a good quarterback. He'll probably bring Josh McDaniels with him to run the offense, and that was where he struggled these last few years without him. So I just think he's still got it. And you think about this too, right? Here's why I think he should be an exciting hire, because how different is he from Jim Harbaugh? Their styles. Is it really actually all that different? It's been longer since he won than since Jim Harbaugh just won a championship a few days ago. And so, but they're very similar guys. It's just he's older is really the difference.
And the thing with Belichick too, and this is a part of why I think it's going to be hard for him to find success at this point, is because one thing that he's struggled with his entire tenure in New England is personnel. Is them drafting guys, building a team. Tom Brady's been gone now from the Patriots for almost 6 years. And since he's left, they've put some decent teams together. 10-7, Mac Jones rookie year, and then Cam Newton 7-9. It hasn't been pretty, but the thing about Belichick at this point is wherever he's going, more than likely the roster. There's a job opening for a reason. Yeah. Unless you're going to the LA Chargers, the roster that you're going to is not good. And so that's the part where it's if Belichick can get the guys that he needs, he can be a great coach. If you don't have the studs, he's not building it up.
And see, that's where I disagree. I think he just needs to get out of and this may be why the Patriots didn't want him around anymore, because they were losing, but because he wanted so much control over the roster, and he might not be the best at that, particularly on offense. But you think back to the last few years of the Patriots, he is actually, considering what the roster was, which everybody has generally agreed, it's a sucky roster, and it's been sucky for years. He still beat expectations with that. So you can any better roster, any better offense, better offensive personnel than he was putting together in New England, and that could have been the only thing he was missing. And he was getting in his own way on that.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yet again, I agree with you. If he has a good roster, he's a good coach. If he doesn't have a good roster, his roster building skills, as we've seen for the past 5 years, have not been very good.
We'll see, but I mean, the two greatest coaches of all time, yet again, the best in college, the best in NFL.
In
Both.
24 hours.
Yeah.
And especially with Belichick, the stretch that he went on of beating amazing teams with his Patriots is incredible. He beat Montana's 49ers. He beat Kelly's Bills, Warner and the Rams, Peyton and the Colts. He beat Mahomes on the Chiefs. He beat McVay's Rams. He's beaten everybody, and he's done it with Tom Brady. He's won some without Tom Brady. It's been an incredible.
Add a little Riot to your Instagram feed. Follow @RadioU Official. The Riot. Radio U.
YouTube will now direct you to the right first aid videos during an emergency. You hear the problem with that headline?
An emergency,
Uh-huh.
YouTube. They don't seem to go hand in hand.
Well, yeah, you should call 911 first in an emergency. If it's a real emergency, 911. But also, let's read this again. YouTube will now direct you to the right first aid videos during an emergency. So what was YouTube doing until now if you had an emergency? It says it will now, like if you search for CPR, heart attacks, other critical health emergencies, it will now like direct you to the right videos. What was it directing you to before if you search for CPR?
See, what it's saying, I think, is they figured out how to discern from credible videos rather than before. It was just whatever was the most viewed one, which isn't always the best video, where now I assume it's like credible people who are actually certified in first aid. I don't know. Whatever the actual criteria to be credible.
There was fraudulent CPR videos out there on YouTube that were just racking up the views because people were like, I need help. Yeah.
And now they've like actually went through, which is good to decide which ones are going to be at the top.
Yeah. I'm glad that they did this. I hope that there's no horror stories of people that turn to YouTube in a time of crisis and actually were given bad advice or just given no advice at all because it was showing them something unrelated to what to do if you're having a heart attack or if somebody needs CPR, somebody's drowning. That YouTube was just totally leading you astray. I hope that wasn't happening, but that is the implication here.
And usually, if you're looking to YouTube to learn anything in an emergency moment, you're not going to learn it very well.
Yeah, I get the other advice here could be, get your CPR certification, take a class before you think you need to, because the YouTube video is not going to teach you as well as actually learning how to do it. But you know, it's good. It is good that that actually just feels overdue. That for some situations, yes, 911 helpful, but if it's a right now urgent thing, you need a visual aid can be very helpful. And it's just shocking that YouTube may not have given you that visual aid all this time.
Well, Regina texted in, and she also put together a really good question.
Okay.
I hope they're taking the ads out of those videos.
That's right. You can learn how to do CPR after this ad for Temu.
Once we get through this ad, you can save their life.
Yeah.
Oh, they don't. I just YouTubed it.
Oh, you checked it?
I just typed in CPR. First video that popped up, I've got a 15-second ad, and I can't even skip it. I can't even skip it. Usually you can skip the ads. It's making me watch this whole thing from the American Heart Association.
Well,
we need those dollars. We need those dollars. Greedy.
That is nice to support the American Heart Association. But read the room, YouTube. It's not the time. It's not the time. What if somebody needs help right now? At least it's for that. At least it's for something related and it's not Mint Mobile, you know?
True.
But yeah, come on, YouTube. Still a lot of, you know what, Isaiah? Actually, it's your fault for not paying for YouTube Premium.
That's not my fault.
If somebody dies, you'll have that. It'll be your fault.
The difference between me and you, Hudson?
Yeah.
I am CPR certified.
Wasn't that a great Riot clip? While you're here, you should watch more of our videos and subscribe so you don't miss what we do next.